So how did you stop yourself is my question, because you're very mindful. I've seen you, the few moments I've spent with you or whether we've messaged, it's always been wonderful. How did you stop yourself from letting that pain make you cold or make you harsh to that person also?
I think it made me more kind and empathetic. And I also grew up in a job that's like heavy on gossip, or can be, and rumor and hearsay and stuff. And I found that in my life, everybody loves an interesting story. I mean, all of our ears perk up when think we're going to hear something a little, salacious, a little crazy, a little something. It's something to kind of marvel at. But I realized that I am not a gossiper, I'm more, I'll keep your secrets. And it was sort of the same thing. I grew up around a lot of people who also kind of talk trash about people. And I was like, I do not want to be around that nor be that person. So it also made me gravitate towards people who didn't do that. And it's funny you said, because, we get busy and we have a lot of responsibilities. So I can get sort of intense, or it's seemingly short-tempered because I'm tired and I'm trying to kind of barrel through things.
Yeah, me too.
You do?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, that is so refreshing to hear.
100%. I asked my wife.
Because I was going to ask.
my wife on the show.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I love your wife so much.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
I mean, you two were put on this planet you are Freud's imago theory. Two people who look alike are drawn to each other in a mirror-like sort of look in the water, and see your own reflection, and not based in narcissism. It's based in familiarity. No, it's a beautiful theory. And no, so in those moments, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. I was always forgiving of other people and open-minded for whoever they are. I realized later in life that it turns out that I thought forgiveness was a gift to someone else. You forgiving them was giving them a gift. I suppose it is. I never knew that there is an irony of all ironies of that you are finally liberated. And you can't forgive to get to the liberation because it's fake and you don't get the reward. You have to truly, literally go,
yes.
I, with every part of me, authentically and without wanting anything in return, I'm not even thinking about myself. I just forgive. I forgive you. I forgive this. Then all of a sudden you're like, oh no, and now I feel really good. How weird. But if I've ever tried to forgive something to feel better, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. No, it's not a technique. It's not a button.
No, it's not a technique. Yeah. It's this true. I also found the ultimate form of liberation is change. When you stopping drinking from me, and again, not sober, that's not it.
Yeah.
I just don't drink. It's the only thing that's my lifestyle choice. I was so held back by this one thing my entire life that I swore I would master, that why wouldn't I be convinced of that I'm not capable of change? Because I couldn't change it.
Yeah.
So I'm just a failure in my inner voice and narrative. My only evidence in front of me is you're not capable of change because you haven't changed this thing. And then once I did, it was finally I believe that I'm capable of change. And that's, these things are symptoms. They're not the only problem. You can't stop something that isn't working for you and everything else falls into place. There's a lot of work around it that has to be done. And Barry's point wasn't like, if you stop drinking, all your problems are going to go away.
No.
He's like, we just can't get to the work because this shame and guilt and like pattern is going to prevent us from getting to the next level. So I'm out. And I was just like, God, I love this so much. And I knew he was right.
Yeah, your therapist quitting on you is that's pretty inspiring for you.
I know, because most therapists are like, oh, you're still broken? Fantastic. I'll see you next week. I still have a job. And so I think if you're seeking guidance, wisdom, therapy, spiritual leadership, whatever you are seeking out in this world, if you sense that person continues to feed and not help you grow and is fine with you staying in the same place, I don't think that's a good sign.
Yeah, but I love that emphasis you're placing, that it wasn't ever about the external change. It wasn't just about, if you stop drinking alcohol, then all your problems are solved. It was going on this inner journey for you. And I wonder, when you're doing this, you brought up two really important things. You brought up shame and guilt. And I think shame and guilt, deep down, whether you meet someone who seems confident or whether you meet someone who's insecure, shame and guilt are right there, right? Even when someone feels confident or is acting confident, often there's a shame and guilt of some part of them they're trying to hide. And if someone's feeling insecure, it's because they shame and guilt themselves. Walk us through a bit about how those two were these bad friends of yours for a while, and then you were eventually able to let them go.
I'm just letting them go, especially with stuff with my mom. I think most people idealize this sort of nuclear family, and I just have felt pain and guilt and shame my whole life that wasn't our story, our life experience. It hurts me to know that there is pain there for her, for me. It just destroys me. So I'm working on that because I'm 47. I don't mean to be morbid, but I don't want to die carrying this with me. I will shift this. It's time. It's been long enough.
Yeah.
I put enough time in. So I'm working on that with Barry right now, and I'm making some really good strides, and it's really hard, I think these things are not easy. I felt a lot of guilt and shame around drinking because a lot of my sort of least desirable experiences had probably something to do with me being drunk, So I'm amazing that you would keep doing something that doesn't serve you. Yeah. I felt pain and guilt and shame every time I did feel like I acted in a way that wasn't as gracious and patient as I wish I could always be. Mm-hmm. These are really go-to, overly available emotions that I am just I can't be nearing 50 and still function like this. Mm-hmm. So it's like kicking out bad roommates. You're just guess what? You are a sloppy, horrible person. You have bad energy. You're negative. You're messy. And I can't live with you anymore. Mm-hmm. I want to get my own place and keep it tidy. And Jesus, how have I managed to put up with this for so long?
Yeah.
It's that's how I feel inside my body.
Yeah.
And shame and guilt are roommates I've had my whole life that I totally resent and wish I could just give an eviction notice to. And I'm starting to grow a pair and actually really take charge because I think I know I'm running out of time. We don't live forever, and nobody wants to think about death or dying, but it's an inevitability that we all share in common, and we really don't even know actually when it's coming. So there's a part of me that's just I can't do this anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm fatigued. I'm exhausted. I'm desperate to know what the other side of this feels like. We used to love 45 records, and always the popular hit song was on the A side. And then we would play the B side and be this song's actually awesome.
Yeah.
I'm what is the B side of my life? What is the life that isn't so corroded with self-loathing, guilt, shame, beating up on myself all the time? People are you seem so positive. I'm you have no idea what I'm dealing with on the inside. It's so hard and heavy some days. Mm-hmm. But one thing I am glad is I don't stay stuck and I don't stay depressed.
Yeah, I can tell that. I can hear that in what you're saying and how you're saying it.
I'm almost no, you got to get over that really fast. Don't blame people for stuff. Don't stay stuck. Get on with it. Get out of bed. Put one foot in front of the other. Start doing dishes. You'll start feeling better, I promise. Cleaning is a very spiritual act. And put on a song, and all of a sudden you'll be shaking your butt and moving your body and
or jump in the rain.
Endorphins will start to come. So I've had these fantasies of being Greta Garbo in my bed and my friends tending to my bedside or talking on the side on the phone like, ooh, we're really worried about her. You know, it just doesn't happen because it's just like I just am like, oh God, like, except for funny enough with my drinking, my friends did do that. They were like, we gotta get in there and be honest with her. And that's true friends. Friends who kick your butt and hold up mirrors to you or tell you when they don't like what they see or want you to see your reflection and feel good about it. That's true friendship. I'm all in for tough love. So I've been, you know, when I was in the institution, when I was 13, they assigned me a therapist, Dr. George Blair, I'll never forget. And they had these groups a couple nights a week where they would invite all the families in and they would put someone in the circle and they would talk to their family very openly about what led to this crazy place we were all in. And it wasn't like a rehabilitation center. It was a full-blown like institution. It was very hardcore. It was much more One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It wasn't like Promises in Malibu.
Got it.
This was like real deal North Valley, like 2 years of you're locked in there. This is not a place you're allowed to leave. If you try to leave, they will deal with you accordingly, and it's not pretty. So, but what they would do is they would have these families sit around in a circle, and they would encourage. There was no force, but it was sort of, you know, it was mandatory. They would sit that person down and they would sit them across from their family, and then all the families would sit around and they would talk honestly about what led to them being here, what was missing, what wasn't working with their family. There was sort of like, you know, non-aggressive confrontation about like, you know, the parents were just as accountable as the kids. It was incredible. And it shaped my life forever. It wasn't like, you know, we're all performers and we put it all out there. Like that wasn't what did it. I am witnessing when you don't sweep things under the carpet, when you do not let them rot and start to stink, when you are willing to be brave and put it out there and discuss it out in the open. It wasn't even in front of others. It was just to find your voice and talk directly to that person. It forever formed me. It's like that was such an important life journey that would color my path for the rest of my life. And weirdly, when I found out this show might actually happen in 2019, I was like, not only of someone who's been sitting on the other side of an interview chair my whole life, and you kind of get fatigue on those same questions. Like, I was like, what if this could weirdly be a little like that group night that we would have a couple times a week where we just sit in some chairs in a group of people and talk and we keep it real. And a lot of it was really funny. People laughed. It was heart-wrenching. It was emotional. It was humorous. It was insightful. It was raw. And I think I'm really having an aha moment or an epiphany right now because I'm like, am I running this show the way we did in those rooms? Like, it just was really cool to find out that talking it out and being brave to tell your truths was a good thing.
Those sound like some of the most special skills and tools that every one of us could use so early on. And the fact that you feel you're still using them after all this time is pretty remarkable.
I have not associated the two until this moment. But I wasn't necessarily getting it from my job growing up. That wasn't, as much as it was a like, have all your emotions available, it was very structured in the work. And it was very spontaneous and creative and free, but it was for a purpose. And if anything, you were kind of pretending to be a different person, but like pulling on your real emotions. I had never experienced up until that point anything like it. And I've definitely conducted myself my whole life since I got out of there as if I still go to those group nights. Like, I want to put it out there. I want to encourage other people to not sit on things, but discuss it, be bold, and not afraid of what other people are thinking and feeling when they're digesting your sort of deepest stuff. Letting out secrets can be really liberating And I still feel like I have plenty, and I'm just now like willing to even look at some like secrets, and being afraid of what people are going to think is not good. It's not good at all.